Hey man, how's it going?
Oh, not too bad. I burnt the roof of my mouth with my dinner from the microwave. So,
Rookie mistake.
well, it's one of those things where the bowl was freaking hot, but some of the cold was cold. Some of the food was cold, but that one piece that wasn't cold
Mhm.
was molten hot, and like
Yeah, and it
it just
burns.
burned. Yeah, it burned a
Yeah,
little bit, like it's enough to be
uh,
like, man, why?
I should know
Food,
better.
right? Food.
Food. I hear you. I hear you.
And speaking of
Um,
food,
Not
crab
really.
splatter.
Not
Yeah, yeah,
really.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that's what you should do from now on. Just try and force a
Yeah,
segue out of
yeah,
nothing.
yeah. That's
But yeah,
Mitchell, the
no,
Segway King.
yeah, for sure, for sure. But yeah, welcome back everybody to By My Shiny Metal Cast, the season or the series where we talk about Futurama, and of course this episode of the new Hulu season, which of course is yes, Crab Splatter, episode 8. Yeah, not to be confused with Crab Splatter, which is indeed a type of food, but I don't think Mitchell, you
Yeah,
don't even eat crab, do you? You don't even like
no, no.
shellfish, so
Crustacean
yeah.
food is not
You
for
like,
me, and
but you like
I
shrimp
don't know
though.
why.
You like shrimp though.
No, no,
Oh, you
no,
don't like
no,
shrimp. There was
no,
something I
no.
thought you liked something
Um,
that was lobster.
no, no.
No,
I,
not
I,
even
I
that.
I think I do not like anything that comes in some shell because, like, I don't know why,
Not
but in my
clam, not
nope.
mussels,
I got muscles.
sea urchins, nothing like that.
You know what? I don't think I've ever tried sea urchin, but people say
Yeah,
it's delicious. And I've watched a couple of videos on like how they're harvested and stuff like that, and it just looks
yeah.
weird,
Not
but it looks
necessarily,
yummy.
not necessarily a sea creature, but have you had escargot or like some kind of snail?
No,
Okay,
I think I
not
heard
a
a
shellfish,
story.
obviously, but yeah.
I heard a story that some kid got dared to eat a slug or snail or something like that, and like it was just like a random slug or snail, and like it killed
Well,
them because like it messed with their brain or something
obviously
like
you
that, some
don't. Yeah, you
disease.
don't eat these raw. Don't
Well,
do
no,
that.
no, I'm
Yeah,
just saying, like,
not usually.
don't be
Yeah,
dared or don't be stupid and eat just a random garden slug or snail because
I'm sure that was a
they,
rumor. I'm sure that wasn't
I
true.
don't know. It
Okay.
was the same thing with like going for a swim in a pond or something like that. If a certain type of bacteria gets in a certain spot, it can go up to your brain and kill you. There's things out there, Anthony. There's things out there that kill you.
Sure. Any case, yes. Yeah. Let's get into the episode. So we have here Crab Splatter, where Zoidberg featured one, as you and I had correctly predicted, which
Well,
was great.
crab. Who's a crab in the
Who else is going
show?
to be right? And I
And they would have
do
said crabby if it was an emotion, right?
right, and I do enjoy that we had because at the time we were really digging into that trailer. We're like, okay, they must have something from everything, even though I for sure knew that they weren't going
Yeah,
to use
you were for
everything,
sure. Yeah.
but it had nothing to do with the Bears. Although they did like Zoidberg, we were right about that, obviously, because of his blubber, but it had nothing to do with his ink, right? But yeah, no, crab
Right.
splatter, or crab splatter rather. I think that you and I were both actually quite pleased with this because, as you had just mentioned to me right off mic, this writer was another one that we were a little bit iffy with. Hence why we gave it, I think,
Yeah.
both 6s out of 10s or something. Like we were just playing it safe. And this
I
person
looked
had
at
wrote,
her.
yeah. What did they write again?
I went to her IMDb, and she also, like the last guy, was the executive story editor for season 11. So the Impossible Stream, Children of Lesser Bog, all the way
Right,
down,
right,
all the way down.
sure.
But she personally wrote or got credit for Zap Gets Canceled, which you and
Mm,
I are like, that could have been so good because they could have said like, oh, you
brilliant
did this
idea,
here, you did
but
this
yeah,
here, with
yeah.
actual footage from like the original
Yes,
show and
actually using
the
Futurama stuff,
conversation.
not yeah,
Yeah.
not topical crap that
Yeah,
leaders have done in the
yeah.
past.
Not
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
not, transferring him as the Trump,
yeah. Well, not even that. It wasn't even
insert.
Trump. It was like because there was a bit of a Trudeau in there too. It was a Halloween
Was there?
costume. Yeah, like when he does the thing with the
Oh,
green. Like that's it was a bunch
green
of
face,
topical leader
right.
stuff with green face, and he wanted me to shave his armpits, which was like for that episode. And then everything
Hilarious.
else had nothing to do with anything. Like nothing they could
No,
have brought
there's
up.
lots of examples, and,
Oh
like, it's just
god,
one of those
and they
things
still
maybe
did
that's
it.
just,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
Dupe doesn't care about that stuff, they don't acknowledge it, but until they
oh,
have to, I don't know.
yeah.
Which is probably, like, a real world thing too, like, "Oh,
Oh,
he
you don't
didn't do that. Oh, he did
smile.
do
You don't
that."
smile enough. You should smile. Oh, Jesus Christ! Like it was
Yeah,
so dumb.
the weakest of,
Yeah. I
things to
will.
use.
I will admit, though. I will admit from that episode because I probably said this in our review of that episode. I did enjoy the what is that called? Like the uh not the camp. What is it? What is the thing he has to go to in order to
The
like
class or whatever.
the class? Yeah, like
Yeah.
whatever it's called, like the DEI like
Correction class or whatever it's
right
called, yeah.
sensitivity class. I think is what it's
Thank
called or
you, yeah.
whatever. So, any case, with that guy, and then the guy who's like literally squeezing everything because he's like pretending to be. Oh, anyways, doesn't matter. We're
There
not
was a
talking about
couple
that
good things,
episode.
but
Yeah.
but that whole episode itself was quite a negative, I would say,
Yes,
right?
and
And
yeah,
so
and because of
that
that,
kind
it's
of
like, okay, what are we gonna do with this episode and everything? But you had not high hopes, but you had been more positive because obviously Zoidberg is your favorite character. And if it's
yep,
going to focus on Zoidberg, hopefully they can get some good stuff out of this and not ruin him. Because I would say he's like one of the few in the show that have not been really ruined. They can't really
yeah.
ruin Zoidberg on him,
Well, I would
except
agree
for
with
his plot
you
development or his character development rather. They did ruin that, but
with what examples
Marianne,
that.
Marianne,
Yes, yeah, that's the only thing I have that's a negativity because like that
yeah,
was like kind of like a finality thing. Hey,
mm,
he has someone who loves him, and
yeah,
then now she's completely gone. And you know what the thing was? I
yeah.
love Amelia Clark. She's a wonderful, beautiful woman,
Mhm.
and they could have just replaced her with just a voice actress.
They could
Just
have had a read. You're right. They could have
they did that with
brought in a
John
new British
Goodman as
woman.
Santa
Yeah,
Claus, and Santa
yeah,
Claus is now like a main, not a main, but he's recurring
yeah.
and stuff like that
But he's
with
also a main
John
character,
DiMaggio.
or he's also a main voice actor, though, right? Like John DiMaggio is a main
Yeah,
voice
John
actor,
DiMaggio. Yeah,
whereas John,
yeah.
having John Goodman come back would have been awesome. But yeah, I
Oh
hear you.
yeah,
Yeah,
he got big though. Like the '90s
yeah,
was kind of his like growth era, and then he
of the
just cost
2000s.
too much.
Yeah,
But
so
that's kind of my only qualm that I have about
mhm,
Zoidberg being written is
yeah,
that Marianne doesn't exist anymore. She
yeah.
should,
And
but
especially
doesn't.
because in said prediction, you had also said like in your hope, obviously
In
it
my
wasn't
hope,
going to
yeah,
come true, but you had wanted Marianne to be in there and be. What did you say? You wanted him to be like the Banksy, and like he was going to do like all these art things to try to
yeah,
impress
that was
her
my
and
other
all this
thing.
stuff.
Crab splatter was him splatting his
Right.
ink kind of
And
thing, right?
honestly a genius idea because it also plays off that idea like, oh, he was an art school kind of kid or whatever, and he
Yeah,
was all this
yeah.
stuff, and that could have like played into
It
that a
plays
bit
for the
more.
joke
But
and stuff like that.
that's okay. He always wanted to be a song and dance man. He was never really like a physical artist per se,
Yeah,
right?
exquisite.
Yes, but yeah, why don't I'll do a quick synopsis here, and it's relatively simple to kind of go through, and then yeah, we'll go into our positives and negatives, and yeah, follow up with what we think of this episode. And honestly, overall, not bad. It's really not bad an episode, not bad of an episode. So
I don't. It was a simple. It was quite simple,
it is.
and
It's simplistic. It's
um,
easygoing, and it gets to a good point, and there's some really nice heartfelt messaging in it. Also, some
yeah,
humor though,
I
some
have
decent humor.
a
Yeah,
small issue. I have
yeah,
some small issues with what they were trying to do.
yeah,
They haven't been able to pull off
yeah,
sentimental or
yeah,
heartfelt
yeah.
properly in
Sure.
a long time.
Yeah,
So,
and I think there's a couple things about this one that kind of irked me a little bit, and too with continuity issues, but we'll
oh
get to
yeah,
that. So basically, basic synopsis of this is so we begin. Funny enough, the third episode of this version of the series, or this series, or I should say, or this season,
this
whatever.
particular season, yeah, this particular season.
This particular season, third time, we start off in Amy and Kip's apartment, and they're just relaxing or whatever, and they're getting mad at Axel because he's playing his video games, he's not listening to them, and it's too loud or whatever, and they don't want to bother the neighbors downstairs. Happenstance,
Yeah.
a meteorite comes out of the sky and crashes into the neighbors downstairs and basically destroys their apartments. We've never seen these people before, but they're
Nope.
known as the Johnsons. Okay, and they have the
Generic
parents and the
name.
two kids. So, in any case, Amy and Kif discover that the meteorite itself is this beautiful rock that has like kind of a weird gem thing or whatever in it, and they take it with them and all this kind of stuff. They're really impressed by it. They show it to the professor the next day. Now, the Johnsons obviously have to vacate and they'll disappear for a little bit. We'll come back to them. So, in the Planet Express, the professor explains that this particular rock is actually not just a meteorite, but it is something that comes from another area in space that is impacted from another, like basically another planet. And it just so happens to have come from Zoidberg's planet from years and years ago.
Millions
So,
and millions of years ago.
sure, like billions of years, 4.98 billion years ago to be
Yeah.
exact. But in any case, Zoidberg is like, oh, well, that should belong to me then because I am myself from that planet and everything. But it actually belongs to all of Zoidberg's, you know,
Planet.
culture and his like,
Yeah.
right? Even though one piece of it would be like worth like $1 million, so Zoidberg doesn't get that anymore. So, in any case,
Oh.
yeah. So they take they take the rock rather, the meteorite element that Amy brought, and they bring it to Decapod 10, right? Zoidberg's home planet. So we see it again, and they go to this museum, and we basically meet. I can't remember her name, but we meet a female version of the professor, but in Decapodian form, who the professor actually kind of is attracted to because she's like kind of like him. So in any case, she shows
Dr.
them.
Judith.
Dr. Judith. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So I was
So
looking for it because I was like, who plays it? Tress McNeil?
Tress McNeil
That
does,
was
of course. Yeah.
she has quite a few voices in this
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, she does. So she basically does this nice little, fifth grade, telling of it with like I don't even know what to call those, like, little prop up puppet things or whatever. And it's kind of a funny
Yeah.
little thing because it also
Uh,
shows Amy's apartment, even though this was
yeah.
made like years ago, but whatever. Any case, yeah, she describes like there was something on their planet beforehand, similar to us on Earth having the dinosaurs. They had something called the Crabosaurs, and these were like the monstrous crab, dinosaur like creatures, right? As the name
Except
implies.
she explained it like they also made movies about these. And
Right.
oh yeah, we get it. They're big.
They're big.
Kind of
They're
thing.
big and they're bad now, which is obviously a play on or insult to the
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park
What
series.
did she call it? Like
Cor-
Karabic,
oh,
Park or
Carassasaurus,
something
or
like that. Yeah.
something like this. So, any case, they fly back to the Planet Express after getting all this stuff, and they find out and they drop off the rock, obviously, because it's part of their culture. So they take it, and they fly back to the Planet Express and all this stuff. So Zoidberg's, sad, whatever. He doesn't get the rock, but then he ends up going back to his dumpster, which of course is his home next door to the Planet Express. And wouldn't you know it, the Johnsons, the apartment neighbors from below Kif and Amy, have moved into said dumpster. And the cat lady, the crazy cat lady, I can't remember her name. What's her name again?
Hattie McDougal.
Addie, right.
Hattie, like a hat.
Hattie.
Yeah.
She owns the dumpster rights, apparently, or the dumpster is like to rent out.
I have a headcanon.
Okay.
She's actually the landowner, the landlord or whatever of of like Planet Express, because she owns
She
that.
also has like
the
one
dumpster.
kajigger of a share, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah. So
right.
just that's how she got in there. So
I
the
see.
professor
So
said,
that's her
"I'll
one
pay you with
kajigger
this."
is that dumpster?
Yeah. What you call it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
like she is the landlord of the Planet
I like
Express
that.
building because
I like
the
that.
professor has his own built house, right?
No, he lives there.
Really, I swear that he had his own house.
No,
Or
remember that
maybe
was in the Comedy Central run because when Amy or Leela and Fry wanted some time alone together, and then the professor's like, "Well, I'm out of here," and he has like a hat, and then Amy's like, "Professor, where are you going? You live here." He's like, "I have no idea," and he just walks away. That's in the
okay,
Comedy Central run. So no, he does live there because he has
huh?
his
That
furniture's in
was my
there, his
head
bed.
canon.
Because
Yeah.
remember they went to his bed, right? He's like, I have something to show you. He's like, wow, it's so big. And can I touch it? Yeah, that's his bed, right? That's where he lives.
Okay.
So
I thought
yeah,
maybe like because he's a rich scientist, maybe he just rents there and lives there currently, but he has like a house somewhere else. I don't know.
no, we've never
No,
seen him.
that was
Yeah,
my head canon. So that
well, no,
she
but
was the landlord or once owner,
she could still own a portion of said place,
the
right? And it
land.
just so
Yeah, yeah.
happens to be the dumpster area, right? So, any case, Zoidberg didn't know this, but the Johnsons have figured this out with Hattie and, agreed to move in, and they dumped all of Zoidberg's stuff out. So now Zoidberg is actually completely homeless. He has nothing. So back inside,
Mikasa.
yeah, so, right, Mikasa. So back inside, all the Planet Express crew and everybody are all like singing around the lounging area. And Zoidberg's like, I don't know
Break
where I'm
room,
going to
whatever.
live.
Yeah.
And the professor says, oh, I'm sure one of your colleagues will do so. And of course, Amy and Hermes like, get out of there. Bender tries to like play it off that he doesn't understand.
Yeah,
And
he puts on
Fry
a sombrero and a Mexican
and a Mexican
mustache
mustache, yeah,
and
to like,
goes, me not know English or something
yeah,
like that.
exactly. He's like, no casa for Zoidberg or something. I don't want to share share my house with you or something. But because Fry is such a good guy, Fry says, "Oh, come on, Zoidberg, you can stay with us." And this irritates both Leela
And
and
Bender.
Bender. Leela first, though, and then she kind of falls for it because Zoidberg does like one of those puppy eyes, and so yeah, and she's like, "Oh, fine, maybe for a little bit." And Bender gets upset with her, so it's kind of a nice little joke. So, in any case, Zoidberg lives with those three. Now,
Yeah.
Zoidberg, of course, as we all know, just to jump through this, Zoidberg is disgusting, absolutely disgusting, and everything he does irritates everybody in that place. He's too much of a slob, leaves his stuff everywhere, and he's just crazy.
He's watching reality TV.
He's
I think we heard
watching,
like cats in the like
yeah, he's
of
watching
the
like
TV.
celebrity cat or like cats of like real housewives of whatever, but they're cats or something. So,
Yeah.
any case, he's using their dishwasher as a sauna. It's hilarious. So, any case, meanwhile, Leela is also getting calls from her parents, and obviously her parents who are mutants, and well, she's a mutant as well, but they live in the sewers. And Leela is kind of annoyed that they are constantly telling her like, "Oh, hey, you never visit us enough, and you should come down and visit us more." And she's trying to get, excuse me, she's trying to get rid of them. But
That I'm going to interject that feels very anti Leela because she
so
loves her.
this is what I was talking about. So I'll get to that. So
Okay.
any
Put a
case,
pin in it.
put a pin in it. So Leela is is saying like, okay, well, I'll go and visit you sometime, but whatever. In which case, then she sees Zoidberg, and she's like, they need company, and Zoidberg needs a place to stay. I'll send Zoidberg to stay with them. And wouldn't you know it, she does. She brings Zoidberg, and they love him. They absolutely love him. He stays with them. They're having a good time. He's happy to be because he doesn't care about the smell. He enjoys the cooking. He thinks that they're
Oh
lovely
yes,
people because
this
they're taking care of him, and he feels. And we get actual canonicity to this. So Zoidberg actually mentions the idea that his parents, he never knew his real parents because they died when they mated, which is great. That's a good
from the first
continuity thing.
episode of
The
what
very
was that one called?
um
Zoidberg's Homeland or whatever it was.
yes. Yes, I'm forgetting what the episode is called now as well.
Fifth
Um
episode of the series.
Lobst Loves Lobsters. No, I can't remember either, but whatever the episode is called, yes. And and Fry starts like he romantic doesn't let's see, he tries to get Zoidberg to go with that woman, but then she ends up falling in love with him, right? So yeah. Any case, Zoidberg loves everything, and the parents, right? They love him. So Leela learns later that she's seeing them do all this stuff together, sending them postcards because they've gone on trips together and everything. We see all these callbacks to all these other episodes of Futurama, which is nice to see as well. And all the stuff, Leela ends up getting so jealous, she goes down there to confront her parents, and the parents then say, "Well, listen, like Zoidberg, like because Zoidberg's like, you're right, I should leave and all this stuff." But they say, you know what? We're actually going to adopt him. We're going to adopt this like 60-year-old or whatever, however
No,
old he is.
I looked this up.
Yeah,
He's like 82 years old or something
right.
like
Like
that.
this old guy. We're going to adopt this guy. This is Dr. John Zoidberg, and he's going to be your brother. And Zoidberg's like, oh my god, I have a real family. And that like, holy crap, Leela is just no way. She's
Angry.
like,
She's
I
really
don't want
angry
anything
about
to
it.
do with this, and she freaks out. They even have this little party about like, oh, it's it's a brother. Of course, at the Planet Express headquarters or whatever, because that's where they always have their parties. We see a few people there. The Johnsons are there too because they're now their neighbors. And Leela has this giant fit, insults her parents. Her parents get mad at her. It's a whole thing. We never really see this before. It's actually quite good. But then Leela passes out, and she has some kind of issue inside of her, and we don't know what's going on. So they bring her to the hospital, the Taco Bellevue Hospital, and we get like the very sensitive doctor again. And it
I don't
turns
know how
out,
to tell you this.
and it turns out that Leela has a, what is this thing called? Did you catch this?
It's like a very rare something.
But it's like some kind of, what is it called though? Because it's only really in aquatic creatures or like these shellfish type creatures. Any case, it's this strange like adrenal gland.
Yep.
Adrenal
Adrenal
gland.
gland.
Okay, so yes, so Leela has a adrenal failure because her adrenal gland or something is not going well. Okay, and as a mutant, obviously, and she has to be in this process because no human can give it to her. Like Fry doesn't have one; he offers it, but he can't do it. So she has to get one of her relatives, who are obviously all mutants. So we get a nice cut to all of like these like familial characters or whatever we never really seen before, but we get them
There's
all from Leela's
there's a couple
family.
weird ones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
because
actually some pretty cool ones in there, like the Hedgehog Girl and all this kind of stuff. But all these mutants,
there's
and
all
they're all
leg
donating a little.
mutants.
What's that?
Leg mutants in the line.
Is he as well? Okay, maybe
Yeah,
he's like a
and
distant
the
cousin or
one
something.
episode where where everyone gets younger.
Yeah,
You remember those two, the couple they raced against, the
yeah,
one
yeah,
with like
yeah.
the snail eyes. She's also in the line.
Oh,
And then
okay,
there's like this weird one that they used the Leela model on from like her body, but they gave it like a different head. It's very odd looking. I don't know
interesting.
why. Yeah, it's very odd.
That is odd. So we get a whole bunch of her relatives, and they're all there donating a little bit of their adrenal gland or whatever to try and find a match because then she needs some kind of
Just if
uh,
there's compatibility with her, so they can
compatibility
help.
tissue, whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
looking for something that can help her with identifying a donor for her new adrenal gland because she'll die without one. So everybody goes through all this kind of stuff. We get some funny little antics here and there. So we go back to the hospital, and the doctor, who's very sensitive, he's trying every single adrenal gland like donation that he can, and they're all coming out false. And then the last one that he tries, and it turns out to be a proper match. And the person who happens to have done so is Dr. Zoidberg, who apparently is a very distant relative to Leela and her family due to the fact that, again, 4.98 billion years ago, the meteor that had struck this planet, the Decapod 10, and sent off all the debris of the meteors, which is, happened again. The one that we had at the beginning of the episode was like the second one this happened, was the second time this happened. The first one crash landed years and years ago and actually gave planet Earth the crustacean species, basically. It had like the DNA that kind of evolved the creatures of the sea into such crustaceans, such as having Zoidberg DNA or Zoidberg creatures DNA.
Yeah,
And
Dr.
because
Judith went back and explained all this. Yeah,
yes, well, we find this out because Dr. Judith happens to be in the bed next to them because she had broke her leg,
broke her leg.
like tripping down at a theater or something because she's dressed very well, and she explains all this kind of stuff. But then it turns out that because the mutants are also in the next to the mutagenic lake, which is again yet another continuity thing, which is in the sewers, so it's glowing green. A bunch of mutants have this already in their bodies, which also explains the tentacles on what's her name? Munda, right? Munda's
Yeah,
Leela's mom.
Munda.
So
And
Munda
her
has like
grandmother
tentacles, and her
and so on.
grandmother has them as well, and all this kind of stuff. So they actually have a little bit of like this crustacean sea creature DNA in them because they're mutants. Hence, Zoidberg and Leela, however distant, are actually technically related, and so therefore she can get the Bleno gland donation from him, and he has a bunch and makes a joke about it. And
They're coming out my wazoo. Make sure you take one of those ones.
and we cut to later. Leela's feeling better. Zoidberg is fine, but they have like bunk beds now, and they're actually kind of getting along. And Zoidberg is like, "I hate my parents." Like a teenager, he's like, "I gotta move out." So, any case, they move back, or Zoidberg leaves, and he heads back upstairs, up to the surface. And it turns out the Johnsons are indeed leaving. They're going to, I think, Hoboken, New Jersey, because they found like another box.
They found a fridge.
Box,
They found a fridge block.
giant. And Zoidberg moves back in there, and we get the finishing sense with Leela and he are now kind of like really close, and they feel like brother and sister. Leela has a picture that Bender then throws away, and then the parents get it, and then Zoidberg has the exact same picture, which he hangs up in his dumpster. And yeah, basically where we finish this episode. And yeah, Crab Splatter is heartfelt. I think very, very good.
I don't know. I do like it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but it's not to the level of the
what
good,
it could have
better
been, right?
one.
Well, let's talk about our positives then. So I think Crab Splatter does very good continuity things, except for like one little thing, which we'll take the pin out in a minute. I think like having a whole bunch of the continuity with like the mutant stuff is always good. I like seeing the Tarangas. I think they're really good. Having an episode focused on Zoidberg, right? Like it's always nice to see him more.
Yeah.
And I like that. In a way, this kind of builds upon Leela and Zoidberg's relationship, because throughout the whole series, Leela hated. I mean, almost as much as Hermes, if not more. They have always had, like, Zoidberg's always been oblivious to it, but Leela's always had this hatred for Zoidberg in one way or another. Like, she's hit him, she's killed him, she's decapitated him in like the alternate universe.
That was more the movie, though.
It's still canon, and it was in like their thing, right? Like it's like she would have, right? Because she still remembers him. She's like, "Oh, I'm going to enjoy killing you," because it looked like Zoidberg, right?
The tunneling horror.
The tunneling horror is like, I hate that guy. So they have this relationship that I think really builds upon this one, and it kind of comes to a close with this, and we finally get this whole thing. Like, she finally like directly attacks her parents and says all these things, and then Zoidberg kind of stands against her, and it's nice. I like that. I like that as a story, and I think that was really, really good to have it. It's like a culmination of some really good points that the series has set up that kind of have a natural ending, and I thought that was good.
So we paid a little attention to continuity.
It feels like they cared about those characters, and I think that was good. So how about you then? What are some of your I do have my favorite
positives.
Yes, and I will also say my favorite joke as well in a minute. But go ahead, you
do your joke first.
Okay, well, so even though it's not even that, I just again continuity, because I love continuity of the show. I really do. It's not even that funny, but it made me laugh quite loud because I thought it was just so well put. So they're having the party about like, hey, congratulations, Leela. It's a brother, right? And everybody's having a good time. Fry is talking to Mr. Johnson, and he simply says to him, "Huh, your old grandfather. Neat." And implying like they've talked about him going to the past and becoming like his own grandfather. So they reference that again, and I thought that was just hilarious. And he just says, "Neat." It's just a conversation starter. So, anyways, that was my favorite. Yeah,
that family being in this episode was like odd kind of thing. I think I do
It was a
like
weird
there was
mix
one
still a
joke
bit.
though
Yeah.
when like Amy and Kif went down. And he's like, "Hold on a minute, my son's on fire." Pat, pat,
Right.
pat.
It's like,
And then
don't worry
like
about that. Let me
Amy,
just yeah. It's like, "We sorry about the video game being too loud." He's like, "Oh, hold on a second. I'm putting my son out." Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
and
So, yeah.
they were just a slight. I don't know if I liked him or didn't like him, but they were just a part of this episode, and like kind of
They
was like,
were
okay,
they were
they were
around
this,
to get
they were just
they were
there, yeah,
around to get the plot going the way it needed
kind
to
of
go,
push,
right?
yeah,
Because this doesn't happen unless Zoidberg gets kicked out of his dumpster. Why does he get kicked out of his dumpster? They moved in. Just the way it is,
yeah.
right? So they needed to be I like that they were invited to a bunch of these things as well because they're their neighbors. Because even like they even had like the cookie thing, like Mrs. Johnson brings up the cookies and Bender
Oh
takes
yeah,
the cookies, like, hey, I made these cookies to give to us. So you could welcome us to the neighborhood. And Bender's like, okay, and he takes them and closes the door on her. Yeah. Like there's things like that. So what about you then? Positives generally?
I don't really know. Like I've watched this episode a couple times now, and I watched it I think mostly 1.5 times today. And I don't really know. It just kind of just happens, and like there's fluidity to it, so I can't be like, well, I felt weird here, I felt weird there. There's nothing wrong with it, but
But
I
none of
f-
the callbacks made you like, huh, nice. Like even the balloon. It's the balloon from that episode when they escaped.
that's hilarious. Oh,
Yeah.
like the one with all like the mascots.
Yeah. John's
Yeah,
eyes and Bart Simpson's lower chin or whatever it was. Yeah, it's all there.
yeah. John from Garfield's
Garfield,
forehead.
yeah. Right.
Yeah, it was good to see mutants and stuff like that. Yeah, but I don't know. I just don't think you can ever capture the mutants are revolting one, the funness of that one with mutants again.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I liked it. And Leela did seem a little out of character, just being angry at her parents and stuff like that. But it was to kind of just
Well, that would
it's
be
so weird
I guess
because
that would
like
be in the
she's
negatives then. Is that in the
well,
negative?
no, it's just unusual, but because it's such a weird thing to know what the hell the age of these characters are, right? Because
Mm.
John Zoidberg is like 80 something years old, and
Yeah.
Munda and
Morris are like
what's the other
60.
Morris?
Morris. They're
Yeah, they're
60.
like
They're
60,
60
right?
years
Yeah,
oldish. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I think that, like because I was trying to look this up beforehand so I could kind of comment on this, but like I love that it's Zoidberg. I want to say that I love they try to be heartfelt, and like they didn't do a bad job, but just it wasn't like. I think my favorite heartfelt episode was the one with Bender and Hermes. That one was amazing.
Okay.
I think that was my favorite. And then you got some other ones in there and stuff like that, like the one with Seymour, which is
Yeah, years ago. Yeah, yeah, I know. But this one's still heartfelt because it has that culmination of all these things from those different episodes where we have Leela and Zoidberg's relationship is clearly always at odds, right? Like Leela hates
yeah,
him, and then we get finally what brings them together: the fact that he has to save her life, and she's like, "Well, you know what? Maybe you're not as bad as I thought you were," kind of thing, right? And her parents love him, which kind of also opens her eyes to like, oh, maybe he's not that bad of a guy after all, and all this kind of stuff. But I will say, like leading into a negative, I would say she not wanting to see her parents because yeah, like in Less Than the Hero, which of course
she
is in
loved
the
her
Fox
parents.
run, she's devastated. Mind you, to be fair, that's right when she found out that she had parents and she really wanted to be with them and impress them. And then in the movies, I'm trying to remember which movie it was. Is it Bender's Game? I think it is Bender's
Yeah,
Game. And then
yeah.
she's
Did you
there, and
spill
then
us
they're
milk?
right. And I think they keep on pissing her off because they try to hook her up with Zoidberg.
He's a
Right?
doctor, honey, a
Yeah. In
doctor.
fact, I think Munda even does that again in this one. It's like, oh, can I introduce you to my daughter? And then Leela's like, and then Fry's like, really? so, so I thought that was kind of a funny little joke as well. But any case, I think that was kind of a weird thing that she's like kind of against seeing her parents. Like she's
Yeah,
developed into like, God, they're so annoying. I don't want to be with them anymore. I thought that was
yeah.
kind of a weird thing. Yeah,
There's just like I said, like it felt like not quite there.
yeah,
But I like the beginning of the episode with them going to Decapod 10 or whatever, and the
yep.
professor kind of hitting on Dr.
Dr.
Judith, and she's
Judith.
like,
Yeah.
"Please, you're not my type." And then eventually, when Leela's in the hospital,
Yeah, and then
and
she turns out she
Dr.
actually
Juice is
likes him as
there,
well.
and like the professor said, "Yes, I paid attention to your class." She's like, "Oh, really?"
Yeah.
Kind of thing, right? And it's
You're not
like,
just a hunk, are you? He's like, oh, stop. Yeah.
yeah, and also her good news, everyone. He's like, "You have my
Right.
attention." Kind of thing, right? So
That
like
was pretty good.
there was lots of good
That was
bits in
good.
here that
Yeah.
I did like and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And I especially love the part where
There's a lot
after
of
Leela
member
was like
berries
out of
in
the
this, actually.
hospital,
Yeah.
and they're in a bunk bed. I love the fact that the
Yes.
bunk bed is just like two beds that are like taped together. If you look at the actual like model of it or whatever,
Because
and
they're in the
Zoidberg's on
sewers.
top.
They don't have a
Yeah,
bunk.
they're in the sewers. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
exactly.
They had to put it
And
together. Yeah.
I do like that and
Yeah.
so and stuff. But like I said, like this, I thoroughly enjoy this episode. But just
Mm,
there's bits and pieces about it that felt odd,
sure.
especially if like you think about it a little bit. Which
Yep.
kind of like I guess they did it to kind of like be they were at odds with each other and now they're a team kind of thing, right? Like
Yes,
yeah,
and it does fit that
they got
with
brought
Leela
together.
especially, right?
Yeah.
And I will say as well, so one thing, this could be a potential negative in the future because this is now canon, but they keep doing this with Zoidberg stuff. Will they
Hmm.
reference that Leela and Zoidberg are now technically family? Will they do this?
Like not like the past relationship like from a billion DNA from a billion years ago.
Like
His their
they are
adopted
adopted
siblings.
siblings now. Like if
Yeah.
Leela is going to visit her parents in a future episode, Zoidberg should be there. So we'll see. We'll see if they follow with this continuity. I think it's a good idea. I really do. I think that's a really nice progression. It is strange, but then maybe we can get Marianne back as well. But we'll see. I'm not sure.
Yes. As I always do whenever we do these, I look at Reddit, and a lot of people like this episode.
Mhm.
A lot of people like it, but it seems to me once I went to like a couple scrolls, there's a lot of people saying, "Hey, where the hell's Marianne? Hey, where's Marianne? I want Marianne back." And a lot of people are like, "Just recast Amelia Clark. Like we all love her, but like if she's busy or doesn't want to do it or can't afford it, just
Get another British woman. Yeah.
recast. Yeah,
Just call her Marianne.
we loved her."
Yeah.
And a lot of people saying like this is what Futurama is about, heartfelt. I'm like, yeah, it's maybe about 60% there, kind of thing. That's my opinion, but yeah.
Sure. I'd say it's more than that. In fact, well, we even get to this. I would say so. We both said in our predictions this was like going to be probably a 6, and we were very conservative with our estimate. I would actually go so far as to say maybe like another 7.5. I think this is actually a really strong episode. It's worth watching, especially if you were a fan and actually paid attention to a lot of Futurama stuff in the past. You get a kick out of a lot of the stuff that happens in this episode. Like there's a lot of really good things, and there's a lot of callbacks. Like I just said as well, like there's a lot of member berries. Like if you, it's like, you remember that, you remember that, you remember that. There's a lot of that in this episode, and
They did it a little better though. It wasn't like, hey, remember this good
yes,
episode?
it
Well,
wasn't
we're gonna make it
exactly. It was like references
better.
to
It's
it.
like, no, no, no.
Exactly. There's references to
It's like
it
a
and
ping
this
pong
and
ball.
this.
You just want to hit it. You don't want to hold it.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a bad. It's a bad analogy.
That's a weird
I'm better at
analogy.
segues.
Nice. But yeah, no, I'd still say a 7.5. I'd almost go to an 8, but I think a 7.5 is really, really good for this. How about you? What would you say for this episode?
Yeah, 7.5. I'll give it that too. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Like
Great.
after the last episode, Murderoni, kind of being
Well, it was
meh,
bad,
and then
right? But yeah,
yeah,
but this one is definitely a step up from that, and it is heartfelt. It is worth a watch. It is funny.
yeah.
There are
It's
a
just
lot of
not
really good things.
it's not
Yeah.
just the most heartfelt one that
No,
they did.
no, there are more heartfelt episodes, but it is nice to have. Again, Zoidberg kind of has another happy ending type of episode, and Leela kind of gets over her animosity towards him and is more bonded with her parents. It's nice.
Yeah, there's been a couple episodes they've done about her being sick. There's one where she had the butt boil, and there's the one
Yeah,
where she
there's the things
like
about her
kept
are off.
mutating
Her
kind
mutation
of
one.
thing.
Yep, yep.
And I guess the second movie where she kind of like, I have to trim my talons every so often, but now I don't have to because we're the only ones left in society.
Right.
So they
Yeah.
always make her a little gross,
Something
even though
happens
she
to her.
shouldn't be.
And I guess, well, and you know what, this kind of plays off Leela's character a little bit, and this is why I like it as well. Is that because Leela, even from like I said this during our reviews of the Fox run, Leela is always talking about like how I want the perfect guy because of this, and she's like she demands perfection because she herself is like not perfect whatsoever.
Yeah,
And now we're kind of seeing her grow into like, well, I guess we're doing this now, but now she's more and more we're seeing her kind of accept herself for what she is and like her mutant family and all this stuff. And Zoidberg is the thing that kind of brings her even more into like accepting who that is, right? So I think it's a very Leela idea for that. So I like it. So yeah, 7.5 for me.
yep.
But
So 7.5. Yeah, I'll agree with it. Yep. Just
any
bring back Marianne. That's all. That's all I want.
anything else to add about Crab Splatter?
Yeah, why the hell are they calling it crab splatter? Shouldn't they make it like some kind of like
Oh,
asteroid kind of comment or something like that?
well, because okay, so this episode's title is a little strange, I'll admit, but I believe it's because the crab splatter is essentially the meteor hitting the planet thousands, like billions of years ago, and
Yeah.
thus giving it the crustacean DNA type of stuff. That's what the crab splatter is, if I'm
I
not
understand
mistaken.
that. I think that's a reaching title. Like, hey, it kind of works. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Like the asteroid splattered on Earth. Like,
yeah, there it
no.
is. You know, whatever.
If you really
And
really
also
want to paint it that way, sure.
the blino gland is like a splattering thing. So maybe that's also
I don't know.
maybe it
I'm
is
not.
kind
I
of a
don't like the
reaching title. I
title.
agree. Yeah,
The title is very reaching. Unlike the next episode, which is literally
exactly
like
what it is.
the title is
Yeah.
exactly
I
the
think we got
episode.
this prediction quite correct. So in any case, we'll finish it up there then. And
Yep.
yeah, we'll see everybody next time for episode 9 of the new Hulu season, The Trouble with Truffles.
Yep.
And yeah, please like, share, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff if you like talking Futurama. And of course, thank you again, Mitchell, for joining me as
Oh,
always.
no problem.
Alrighty, and we'll see everybody next time for the episode of The Trouble with Truffles. All right, man, have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Happy Halloween and
Yes,
November.
yes.
Toodaloo.
Toodaloo.